Hey guys, if you're not already aware, I'm working on a stylized horror FPS game called The Mending that allows the player to decide their own journey. It incorporates both survival and platforming elements and is inspired by games like Doom, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil. Development's gone pretty smoothly up to this point. I've programmed the majority of the core framework from scratch with only a few main components remaining. So far I haven't had any real issues other than whatever's going on with this guy. I think for whatever reason he's losing some of his spine bones, but when I play the game everything is fine, so whatever. First I want to go over some changes with the lighting. The lighting before wasn't really capturing the atmosphere that I have in mind, so I made some changes. I love the volumetric fog, but I had to disable it or turn it way down for all the lights because it was causing issues when used with the stylized shader. Instead I made a cheap fog material to add with the shader to create this effect. Also, the revolving light in the lighthouse had to go, but now I think it looks a little more ominous, which is a good thing for the game. Alright, let me tell you about the enemy AI. I reworked some of the hit reactions to make them a bit more realistic and added some dropped loot and a particle effect on the death. The particle effect represents faith acquired by the player when an enemy is defeated. Faith is something that will be used as sort of a currency that can be used to purchase upgrades, among other things within the game. I'm still trying to solve some issues with the ranged enemies. As you can see, for whatever reason, they just sort of stand there and shoot at you instead of moving around, and sometimes they just stand there and don't even bother to shoot at you. And also, here you can see how bad I am at my own game. Lucky for me, I haven't programmed a player death yet. If I had, I probably would already be dead. Maybe that's a good thing for now. Let's talk about animations. I'm not an animator, so most of the AI animations came from asset packs. Player animations are just a single frame pose where movement is handled procedurally from a code that generates a movement effect. These are much more manageable for me as I just have to create a reference pose holding the weapon, and then I'll let the code take care of the rest. As you can see, things don't have to be perfect. This shotgun doesn't quite fit into the character's hands, but when you play the game it's never seen, so you can get away with things like this. Originally I was using the pistol animation pose for the shotgun as well, but I didn't like how far the arm was extending with the shotgun, so I just created a copy of the animation and altered it a bit to have it closer to the player. You can see it looks pretty bad, but from the first person perspective it looks fine, so it will work for the game. Last but not least is organization. I'm using a lot of assets from the marketplace like this crate here. And here's this guy again. Well, okay. So the material that comes with this crate is pretty simple, but I will be changing it to make use of a master material I've created for all my props, which is a bit more complex. When you import asset packs to your project, it can become a mess pretty quickly. I found it best practice to move what you actually plan on using from these packs to a separate and more organized folder, and then you can delete the leftovers. Using assets can be frowned upon, especially if your game just looks like an asset flip, but if you know how to do it correctly, they can be very useful and save with time, especially if you're making a game by yourself. One simple thing you can do to make an asset more unique to your game is editing the textures in Photoshop to create what you want. This bottle here originally had a different text, but I've changed it to be what I need. Also, I'm applying a simple filter in Photoshop to every texture in my game to give it more of a cartoonish look as well, rather than just relying on the shader to do all the work. And that's about it for this update and what I'm working on at the moment. A lot of this is just code and not really stuff that can be shared with images or screenshots. So I thought those interested in the development process might enjoy this video to see what goes on behind the scenes. Anyway, thank you all for watching and I'll talk to you in the next update.